Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 3 of Interview with an NHL Hero here at Heroes of the Crease Goaltending Museum and Memorabilia. I'm Bruce Chani, your host and also the owner at Heroes of the Crease. Our special guest today had a 13-season-long professional hockey career spanning from 2000 to 2013. Born in Budapest, Hungary, he was drafted 116th overall by the Calgary Flames in 2000, making him only the second Hungarian to ever be drafted into the NHL. In 02-03, he was recalled by the Flames for 8 games to back up Jamie McLennan, making him the first and thus far only Hungarian to ever be on an NHL active roster. He has also been a Hungarian champion, Memorial Cup winner, Calder Cup winner, IIHF longtime player for Team Hungary, as well as a German champion in 2009. Please welcome my special guest, Mr. Levente Szuper.
Hey,
welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's our pleasure to have you on the show here. See a very nice room behind you here. Definitely going to be a fun part of the stream here coming up. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy life, especially seeing as you are still an active coach in the professional hockey community even. So just to have you on board in the show with us here is a huge honor for us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. So how the show is going to work for those of you who haven't tuned into an episode of our broadcast before, it's a live broadcast, so you can ask your questions live while you're on Facebook or YouTube. Just type them into the comments section. It'll show up on my screen. So if it's a good question or a particularly awesome comment, I'll bring it up so everyone will be able to see, and then Mr. Szuper might be able to address some of them. Otherwise, I'll be asking lots of fun, diverse questions from Mr. Szuper's entire career, and then we'll be having a fun little show here. So I'm glad you all tuned in, and let's get it on the road. So, Mr. Szuper, Hungary is traditionally known for being a world-class athletic country, particularly with summer sports and a proud history of football or soccer. Though the Hungarian Ice Hockey Federation has been around since 1927, hockey was not traditionally seen as a mainstream sport over there, at least not traditionally. Recently, it's become much more mainstream. What was your first experience with hockey, and what inspired you to become a goalie?
Well, my dad used to play. I mean, he played when he was a kid and then growing up, and but he had to stop playing because of an injury. Okay. And then, of course, my brother started to play, and it was a very small sport here. I mean, we only had outdoor rinks, and our season was as long as the weather was cold, and so it was depending on the weather. Right. Sometimes your ice hockey season was, let's say, 4.5 months long, and then the other time you had to go dryland and practice there the whole year. Mm-hmm. And then my brother started to play, and I have a brother who's 4 years older, mm-hmm. And then I basically grew up beside the rink. I mean, I was freezing there all the time, and then I thought might as well jump on the ice with my shoes on when I was 4.5 years old, 5 years old. And for some reason, I ran into the nets and wanted to, kick the pucks out and just grab it and just feel it rather than, shoot it with the stick, because I had to feel it in my hands. That was a safe place for the puck, I thought back then. Okay.
So that's what inspired you to become a goalie. I remember one of my favorite parts, because you released a book. I don't actually have it with me. I was going to grab it. But I remember you wrote in your book there that one of the main reasons you wanted to be a goalie, at least when you told your dad as a 5-year-old kid, was that the blocker, the old school waffle-looking blocker, looked like a cracker or a keks, as they say in the Hungarian. It's one of my favorite stories ever.
Yeah, that's right. It looked like a giant cookie or cracker.
Exactly. For
example, because it was brown and had the little holes in it. So yeah, and the other I mean, the catcher, the glove hand, it was just a really fun thing to wear. I mean, it was really fun to catch the puck with, and it was it's still fun.
I believe it. I mean, you made a career out of it, and you're still a coach today. So obviously a lot of fun. So, let's take this as a two-part question. Why not? Because I mean, you had such a long career that spanned essentially from the 80s when you were young to now. You're still involved in hockey. So, growing up, who was your favorite hockey player? Can be Hungarian, can be NHL. Doesn't matter. I'm curious to see who your idol was growing up.
Well, it was pretty easy. I mean, because back in the days when I was growing up, especially in the early years, we didn't really have too many international games on TV. I mean, maybe once in a while you had some games from the World Championship, but you know, it was not the NHL or not any North American league type of hockey. Only international, probably World Championships or sometimes the Olympics. So my favorite goalie was Peter Kovalchik, all-time Hungarian national team goalie, hero 83 World Championships here in the C pool. I have one of his sticks from back in the day that I was waiting in outside the rink, and he gave it to me. And funny enough, because we play tennis in the same tennis club.
Awesome.
20 years later, I gave him one of my sticks, autographed sticks. So that was kind of a funny moment for us. But later in the day, because of my style, maybe I don't know if we can call my goaltending kind of a style. Get back into that later.
Of course.
But yeah, watching a goalie like Dominik Hasek, for example, who just all instinct and just sometimes he didn't care about the rules, of goaltending, and by rules I mean movements and stuff like that. So
of course,
his ability for improvisation amazed me, and but also there are the goalies on the other side who's really in control all the time. That every goalie is fun to watch. So that's what I'm getting at.
Of course, no, I do recall because we had spoken yesterday. You mentioned that you had mentioned that Upper Deck cards described you on a couple of your rookie cards as the next Dominik Hasek. So I find that interesting. Of course, you mentioned it, and yeah, he was. Very, very effective goalie with a very, very weird style. But, I mean, if it works, you can't fault someone for that.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I mean, it just came naturally because I literally barely ever had a goalie coach in my career, and that's including my professional career. For some reason, I don't know how that turned out, but for some reason, most of the teams I've been into, and I'm saying professional teams also, well, most of the time, not even talking about my years in youth because wasn't any specific goaltending coaching here in Hungary, but yeah, I kind of learned through the TV. Watched a lot of TVs. We taped the international games, just watch and try to mirror the movements, and with my dad. After that, he was throwing me tennis balls all over the place, and I was trying to copy it, and that was fun actually. And later on, just to watch my teammates or my opponents when I was sitting on the bench backing up, I enjoyed watching all my colleagues a lot. And I mean, I don't know if you hear that a lot from other goaltenders, but I really enjoyed all my colleagues because they were all different style. I had French Canadian partners. I had goalies from the Ontario League or the Western League, other Europeans, and it was just so cool. And in the early days, I spent a lot of time picking up things and copy, but that sometimes confused me, and I had to take a step back because I for a long time I didn't know how can I be the most effective, and I had to figure it out myself. I don't know if you know what I mean, what I'm getting at. But
I understand.
And right now, these days, it's funny to talk about this because right now you teach structure for goaltending and maybe the improvisation and just being yourself maybe not as important anymore.
I've spoken to quite a few former goalies, and that seems to be one of the overarching themes that you kind of alluded to there, where earlier days, I mean, we're talking 80s, even the 90s, there wasn't much in the way of goalie coaching at all, and people kind of had to form their own style and just kind of go along with what they see. And nowadays, yeah, I mean, already at youthful ages, they were already going through systems and particular drills for goalies. Like, it's so much different than back then. But of course, we'll come back. There's actually a question similar to that I want to ask later on. So we'll kind of come back to that later on. All right. Just before we get into the next question, we have one comment here. We have a Raymond Doherty on Facebook who wrote, "Hi, Levente. I remember you coming into Portland, Maine and shutting down the Pirates when you were at St. John. Hope you are well."
Well, yeah, actually, the beauty of playing for the St. John Flames, one of the beauty actually, that we had a terrible road trip schedule. Mm-hmm. But it also made it fun because, you know, all the bondings on the road with the guys, and get to know a lot of different cities maybe. But yeah, Portland was in our division, and the closest road trip, which was still 6.5 hours. So I mean, yeah, it was we were always happy when we're only going to Portland now. But yeah, we had a dynamite team. I remember Portland also had a good team. And my first year, we faced them in the playoffs in the first round. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, sure, I remember some good games in Portland.
Very nice. Good. So let's go back to your very early days of professional play. So after your meteoric rise in the Hungarian leagues, as well as with the Hungarian national under-18 team, you headed to Germany in 97-98. After that year, you made a very huge, I would say, career-changing decision, or making a good career trajectory, rather, by joining the Ottawa 67s of the OHL in 98-99. How did that opportunity to leave Europe and play in North America come about? And how was the hockey experience in Canada at that time different to what you've experienced to that point in Europe?
Well, actually, it was not a career-changing decision. It was a life-changing decision.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was much more than that, because the year in Germany, that was my last year of high school, and it was my graduation year. So I went to private school here in Hungary. So I always had to go back and forth from Germany to take exams here.
Wow, that's tough.
But the year before, and a lot of years in my life, I also took acting. So it was a big part of my life too, and I wasn't sure which direction I'm gonna go towards, because my dream always was to play, to have a chance to play in the highest league possible in the world. So my childhood dream was to play in Canada, to play hockey in Canada. That was a dream since I was 5 years old, and that's a fact because I told to my dad, and he reminded me after.
Right.
15 years later, okay, here we are in Canada. So and then the German year turned out to be pretty good. And I met my first agent in Krefeld. The name of Mr. Derek Holmes, from Ottawa, based in Ottawa. Okay. Just a real gentleman. And he had his trip over in Europe. He represented a lot of European players, young players, and the general manager of the German club knew him really well, Mr. Rüdiger Noack, GM of the Krefeld Penguins. They were really good friends, and he introduced me to Derek. And Derek took a look at me in practices and in some games in the German Junior League, and he became my agent. And but the funny is, I didn't know what it was. I was 17 years old, and there was a gentleman from North America who represents a lot of players, NHL guys, world-class players, talking to me about, having an opportunity maybe to go to North America and play major junior. I didn't even know what major junior was before that, because, there was still no internet, and these days you just click on Google and everything. So I didn't know anything. And and yeah. After the season, I came home. I played the World Championships as a 17-year-old in Budapest, and we won the C Pool Championships in front of 8,000 people in the Budapest arena. It was really fun, and we got promoted to the B Pool. And that summer, I remember that clearly. A phone rang. I had a family lunch with my parents and my brother, and General Secretary of the Hungarian Federation called Mr. Zoltán Kovács and told me that the Ottawa 67s of the OHL drafted me in the second round of the European draft. So that was just like a line I didn't understand at all. Okay, what's the Ottawa 67s? I know what the OHL is already because Derek said maybe major junior.
Right.
And yeah, second round European draft. Okay, cool. I thought, okay, yeah, I will pack my bag in September and fly over to Canada, and yeah, here we go. I'm on the team, and let's play. So I didn't know that, you know, all the best leagues in the world in junior hockey, especially that organization. We just had the 50th anniversary last year, and yeah, it was just like, I knew it's a big thing and a very big, and you know, but back then it wasn't that hard for me to leave home, for example.
Okay.
So that was it. And then now as a parent, I can understand, maybe partly understand what my parents been going through.
Right.
When I said, okay, let's jump into it. I mean, we're going to Canada, and I mean, I'm going to Canada, and I can maybe chase my dreams and get a little step closer.
Of course.
And yeah, and that was that. So I spoke to Kilrea, Brian Kilrea, the coach of the other 67s, on the phone, and yeah, said it was very happy to drafting me, and then looking forward to meet me in training camp.
Okay.
That's how
so it all came pretty quickly. But, yeah, it was a good decision in the end. How was playing in Canada different to playing in Europe when you first came over here? Like, how noticeably different was it to you?
Oh God. Okay. Let's say I knew some English. I understood most things. I had a little trouble speaking, but only for a few weeks or a month or so. Right. But the first I got there, there was Jeff Keach waiting for me at the airport, the equipment manager of the 67s, and
okay,
got a hat on, and he gave me a 67s hat and a T-shirt and a golf shirt, and welcoming me, and yeah, I drove me to the hotel and gave me the schedule, and I put my bag in the training facility. We didn't have the camp at the Civic Center. We had it somewhere else. And yeah, I went into the hotel, had a nice meal and a sleep. And actually, I met my roommate there, Henrik Alfredsson, Daniel's brother. Was selected on the first round of the European draft. So I was really blessed that I had another European. Although Henrik was all familiar with Ottawa because of his brother. So
right, of course.
He run around as a local, so it was good to get attached to someone right away. Henrik was great, and yeah, and I remember the next day when I got to the arena, I saw there was a lot of young players gathering in front of the buildings, and the dressing rooms are full. And I was just wondering, okay, how many teams having training camps here? I mean, how many teams are practicing here? And it turned out they were all for the 67s camp. And I mean, it was like 60 or 70 guys, and 8 goaltenders, and a lot of coaches and scouts. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? I didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's a big change for sure.
Yeah, I thought I'm coming to a team which has 2 or 3 goalies the most, and you know, kind of a full squad for next year, about 25, 30 tops, you know, 30 guys tops. But no, that wasn't the case. And I remember calling my mom the next day, basically telling her to get ready for me coming back, because there's no way that I'm gonna stay here. I mean, I think there was like 8 goaltenders at the beginning.
Wow.
And one of them was Seamus Kotick, actually, who was for sure the starting goaltender at that time for the 67s.
Yeah, he was drafted by San Jose, I believe.
Yes, that's right, and just coming off a great season too. So for sure, he was one of the goalies for the coming season and the starting goaltender. So that was 6 others or 7 others, and myself, and then all Canadians. I mean, it's I wasn't very sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't very sure where this is going, but yeah, it was so much fun. I remember I approached every practice like it was World Championship finals.
Right.
I'm not joking. Like I realized that okay, this might be the only shot, and probably is. And I saw a lot of players, after 1 day or 2 days, there's guys leaving, and you're just wondering where are they going. So I really kept my mouth shut and kept my ears and eyes open, and just listen what the players are talking about. Try to understand what they're talking about. But credit to them, and thanks to them, they were so nice from the first day. I have to say that they all came and helped and asked questions. Some of them didn't even know where really Hungary was, or it was just weird, because they never heard of a Hungarian. Okay, what is a Hungarian doing here? But all right, well, and just play well, and so my approach to that camp was, just like I'm in Wonderland, and I'm just want to make the most of it, and just really take everything in. And maybe I made it because I wanted a lot more than anybody else. I saw, because it's normal in North America. You learn that in the years. I can learn that really quick. Whoever didn't make the team packed his bag and went, a league below, to go to Junior A, Tier 2, and play there, which is also a great opportunity and great atmosphere.
Right.
And it was just normal. It's just a part of the system, and it was just amazing how many players want to be in that one spot. For example, a third line left winger. For example, how many players are actually trying out for that spot? And we're talking about junior hockey, and that was just amazing. The system was amazed me, and I said, well, geez, I want to be part of this. Let's make it somehow, and just go through. And I think that approach to that camp, my competitiveness, actually what I had from way before, because I have an older brother, so my life was competitive at the sports field. That took me through, I think. I mean, a lot of veteran guys really like that and enthusiastic play. I mean, I stayed out with after practices a lot, and playing games and just being competitive and try to breathe in everything. And that what probably got Killer's attention too.
Okay.
Because later on he named me he gave me a name, the Mad Hungarian. So if you get a nickname like that from Brian Kilrea, you must be on the right track. So, but
badge of honor. So how did it feel when you found out through the process of that training camp that you were one of the last 2 goalies and you made it to the team? How did that feel for you, knowing that hard work paid off?
I mean, that was just the beginning, and I didn't know how long can I keep living that dream. So I literally say I really cherished every day, every single day I had a chance to be in that environment, to be on the ice with players like that, we had an unbelievable team. I mean, we had unbelievable opponents too. We had unbelievable coaches, unbelievable fans, unbelievable ownership. Jeff Hunt that just took over the team that year.
Okay.
We won the bid for hosting the Memorial Cup. So there was just so many things happening so fast. I mean, you have the Ottawa Civic Center as your home ice, and you just walk in there. I mean, it was just amazing, and how the attendance changed and went up when Jeff took over. It was just such a special year for the 67s organization, and that being my rookie year made it even more special. So that really just like a Cinderella story, really, because it's just and it was. Yeah, I realized that I'm not gonna go home for a long time. I only came home around Christmas time to play the World Juniors, but that was so normal feeling for me to be away at that time. When I grew and when I got older, it was more and more difficult to leave every year. But back then, as a 18, 19-year-old, I just had the time of my life. I mean, it's just every day to get up and go out on the ice and try to get better, and just watch and just talk and listen to people in a country where hockey is, to me, I think it's more than a sport. It's a lifestyle, or it's a religion. I felt like so everything was about hockey. The two billet families I lived with, I always say that English is my second language, my second mother language, because I had two mothers in Ottawa, the billet families, and two brothers. I lived with the colleagues and the laws. They were just so great. And my first year, I had Ben Gustafson, one of the veteran guys, as my roommate. So Ben really. Just grabbed my hand and just helped me with a lot of things. But also the team was really great and supportive. So yeah, it was just like a dream come true. And actually playing that much in my first year and be part of the winning team at the end.
Right.
That just put the icing on the cake. So that was just amazing.
That seemed to be one of the trends in your hockey career, is winning in like your first season in so many places. Like you won Memorial Cup first year in Ottawa, you won Calder Cup first year in the AHL, you won the Hungarian Championship in 97-98. That was your first year with Ferencvárosi Club. Then you won the German Championship in 09-10, your first year with the Hannover Scorpions. So it's like it's an interesting trend that I noticed about your career there. But let's stick with one final question with the 67s here. So you were talking about Brian Kilrea, who is legendary coach in the OHL. I mean, he spent 32 years coaching it, and even had one extra game as like a special celebration that made a 33 season. Being coached by someone of such experience and knowledge must have been very helpful to you as a young player. Was there any advice that he gave you, or anything that he taught you that helped you in your career, both as a player and currently today as a coach, and having been a manager as well?
The most important thing, and the advice, and the simplest you can give to your goaltender: stop the puck.
Nice.
No, really. I mean, it's a lot more. That 3 words has a lot more meaning than it's just those 3 words. You know, and that goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning: the style of playing, the level of your competitiveness, the level of your instinct to improvisation, and just to get out and just do it. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you stand on your head or doing somersaults,
right?
Which I always did or try to do. but yeah, and that thing, and how he managed his players to play for him, and also his 2 assistants, Bert and Vince, how that made a great coaching team and a great environment for us kids to live in. that was just amazing. And the whole organization, how they treated us as players, you can just felt the energy through everybody that actually Kilrea hold together. And and you know, if you play for him, you know what work is. I mean, and you really find out and cherish in life about second chances, because you didn't get too many second chances with Kilrea. But yeah, that's why this approach, his approach to the game, made the coach he is and he was. So yeah, that those 2 years really taught me a lot. And yeah, actually it was really great to see him last year. It was the 50th anniversary for the 67s, and I flew over with my wife to celebrate with the team and the organization. And yeah, after all these years, I go up to him. He recognized me right away, and it was just the same Kilrea. It was
never changed like it.
I was supposed to meet him again. It was just it was very, very, very special.
Very nice. But I like that. It sounds like he's a firm coach, a lot of expectation, but he sort of gave you that free rein to do whatever it took to get the job done. I like that, where you get the support. It's not how you do it; it's the end result that matters.
Yeah, he was really good at letting us being ourselves,
Right.
but with his guidance and with his supervision. I mean, it's yeah, that was the main part of it. He was unbelievably funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was really. But yeah, I mean, we saw him snap a few times too. It was.
Right.
Looking back right now, it was funny too, but not at that time. So
Yeah.
and if you really if he really does give you a nickname, you're gonna remember it for your whole life.
Especially if it's a cool nickname.
Yeah, it's the Mad Hungarian. Yeah,
Right.
I will never forget that. Whenever I talked to him on the phone, he knew it was me. He picked up the phone and said, "Oh, is this the Mad Hungarian?"
Right, I like that. So I actually do have a question that popped up on the feed from a Brian Shaunawill on Facebook. He did work with an OHL team around that time. Off the top of my head, unfortunately, I can't remember. He asked, was Kilrea still smoking cigars at the front of the bus in Ottawa?
Back in that day?
Yes.
I can say.
Okay. We know the answer by not saying, so very cool. All right. So
and then one more thing about Ottawa. It was I knew back at that time how special Canadian hockey and the tradition is, and especially feeling that with the 67s, with the traditional team. That was really amazing when I got back there last year, after 20 years basically, that you see the same people and their younger generations.
Right.
I mean, it was just amazing how you see the same lady or the same gentleman at the doors or with the booster club or still being involved with the club and their kids and their grandchildren also supporters. So that's Canadian hockey, North American hockey can amaze me every day basically, because I don't live there in regular basis. But
Right.
Yeah, you still learn when you really jump into it and experience it.
Oh, yeah, and I like that because it sounds less like a business than more like a family, or multi-generations are involved there. I mean, you were saying you have a son as well, so he might be a future super in the NHL and might get it started at the 67s just like you. Who knows? All right, so on to our next question here. So you were a Hungarian champion in '97 in your first year with Ferencváros. Then, of course, we talked about you formed a goaltending tandem with Seamus Kotick in your first year with the 67s, where you were, of course, the Memorial Cup champion. The following year, your numbers improved way beyond your first rookie season there. and now you were a prospect on the radar of a bunch of NHL teams. This, of course, led to you being drafted 116th overall by the Calgary Flames in 2000. How did you find out that you were drafted into the NHL, and what did it mean to you knowing that you were one of only 2 Hungarians at that point to ever be drafted into the NHL? And of course, the previous Hungarian was only the year prior to you.
Actually, that thing started in my first year when, in the newspapers and on television, and people were asking me in North America, what am I thinking about being drafted? As a rookie goalie, it's a very big honor that I still hold the lowest goals against average in the 67's history as far as goals against average.
Right.
And people asking me about getting drafted maybe in my first year. And I tried not to put much attention on it because I was almost 19 at the time. So the next year I get basically drafted as a 20-year-old, which is was very, very odd, especially for a Hungarian 20-year-old.
Right.
Yeah. So
you weren't even the oldest goalie in that draft, because Roman Czechmanek was drafted and he was 27 years old at the time. So you were still still a young sprout next to him.
But yeah, and but when people were talking about it more often and often, I started to actually care and put unnecessary attention on it. It was really unnecessary at the time. That was my first year over. Okay, I had good numbers, and we had an unbelievable team, a great winning team, a lot of scoring, great defensemen, a lot of future NHLers, superstars, and but still, you had to have a good goaltending tandem, and we were the best of it with Seamus that year. Basically, almost in the whole CHL. I mean, it was very special. And yeah, of course, we won the Memorial Cup, which was the highlight of the year and one of my highlights of the career. But I didn't get picked in my first year, and because I got involved in it earlier about being drafted, because when I was a kid, that wasn't my goal. I didn't know that was important to get drafted to play in the NHL, which is not. We know that, not necessarily, but sure can help. Yeah, my childhood dream was to play in Canada, and I did that, but probably professionally. And so that thing about getting drafted for me as a Hungarian was more special probably for a Canadian, because it was just a normal day-to-day activity for people, and this guy can talk, no big deal. But yeah, and I kind of afterwards got a little disappointed. Maybe I didn't get picked in my first year.
Okay.
Which was really lame and crazy. Because a lot of people asked questions about, you had great numbers, you broke a record, and this and that. But yeah, after that, I turned this whole thing into a positive energy. Found a way to show that, okay, if I wasn't good enough for you last year, I tried to be even better. And yeah, I got to play majority of the games that year, including playoffs. So it was a great regular season. We lost to our all-time nemesis. I was in Ottawa in 2 years against the Bulls.
Right.
Belleville, that's right. Yeah, but it was still unbelievable, and a lot of positive energy came from the fans. Also in the second year when I became the starting goalie of the team, which was happened too fast. So it really, I couldn't really think about it too much because first year we won the cup, second year I played most of the games, and I had great numbers, and more and more asking about drafting, and And I talked to Derek, and Derek suggested to me not even go to the draft.
Okay.
So I didn't even go. I was waiting for it here at home.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, same thing. Together with the family, the phone rang, and Craig Button, GM of the Calgary Flames, called me and told me that they picked me in the fourth round, and welcome to the organization. And yeah, my mom and dad was standing beside me, and yeah, they knew something was going on when I started to speak English and smiling. So after I hung up, we all hugged and we made a toast, and get ready for the next chapter.
Absolutely. And I mean, just for anyone who might be watching the show here right now, just to show how significant it is, there's only ever been 3 Hungarian-born and raised players ever drafted into the NHL. First was, I believe, Tomáš Grösl, then Levente Szuper, and then 2002 it was Vas János, who got drafted by the Dallas Stars, and since then no Hungarians have yet been drafted. There's been a couple of naturalized citizens. I haven't remembered the names. I think Jesse Dudas was one of them with the Oilers. And there was one more I can't off the top of my head to remember, but that's how few Hungarians have really been drafted. So to show how significant that is, that's amazing, really. But on that note, we'll head into your Calgary Flames time there. So you turned pro immediately after your draft year and joined the Calgary Flames system. How was your first NHL training camp experience, being among so many NHL level prospects and active players? And did you feel like you belonged there with them? And as a side note to that question as well, were there any veteran players who were particularly helpful or particularly difficult to get along with as a young player, especially from Hungary?
Actually, that was my second pro camp, because after my first year in Ottawa, in the summer, I get invited by the Dallas Stars.
Oh, interesting! I didn't know that. Huh? Wow.
The Stanley Cup champions, and it was an awesome experience being with those players. The Moldanos and the Brett Hall and Mike and Zubov and Ed Belfour. And
wow.
It was made it really special that we had our camp with the Stars up in Vail, Colorado, which was unbelievably nice and just you felt like you're in Wonderland. And then in a pro camp, and actually Ed Belfour was my roommate in Vail, Colorado. It was fun times. I don't say more.
Of course.
Right now,
I've heard of some of the fun times. So.
To experience, in practice, the level of the speed, the pace of the shots and the accuracy of the passes, that was just something else. When you stay out after practice in your first practice with the Stars, and Brett Hall asks you to stay in net because he wants to practice his one-timers. That's not the best. That's not something you dream about. But yeah, I took a few off the chest and a few off the collarbone, and yeah, it was all worth it because it made a great memory of my first NHL practice when I get smoked by Brett Hall in my chest. So yeah, with the Flames, it felt a little more natural to go back to my third year to North America because after my first year when I didn't get picked, I heard a lot of stories from different people that I didn't get picked because we had too good of a team with Seamus in front of us, and also I'm a Hungarian, and what's that style I'm using? Is it hybrid? Is it butterfly? What is it? And people maybe Derek told me maybe they wanted one year more. I mean and I understand that. Derek told me later, not that time when I was a little more mature, that you had to understand that time that was a business decision for an NHL club who to pick in the draft.
course.
And if a team picks a Hungarian, I mean, the first question, maybe will not be positive about it, and
Right.
wasting a draft pick on a Hungarian. Okay, we don't even know how he is. So my second year in Ottawa, maybe I proved it that I can play. So yeah, that gave me a lot of confidence going into Calgary.
Okay.
Yeah, it was unbelievable at that time. It was a really important summer. I got to know my wife, and started dating basically the summer before I signed with the Flames. And getting back on being in Calgary, yeah, that was funny because I didn't really talk to Derek about signing or anything. I thought going into Calgary and same thing with Ottawa. Try to prove myself, try to play good, because it was still an option with Ottawa that I might go back as an overager if things don't work out.
Right.
And no one knew what's gonna happen in Calgary. So basically, Derek called me one morning. I mean, third or fourth day of camp. Actually, Jared Stoll was my roommate. He's
an Oiler
champion. And the phone rang about 6 a.m. because of the time change from Ottawa, where Derek called me from, and told me, "Good morning, kid. You signed." I'm like, "What?" And yeah, basically we just had the last things get cleared on the contract. But basically, yeah, he told me at 6 a.m. that I signed with the Calgary Flames, and the next day they called me in the office and signed the papers, and that was it. I stick fairly long time in Calgary in camp, and my next departure was St. John, and with Jimmy Playfair, who I knew the year before because he was still part of the Stars organization,
right,
in the minor leagues, and actually Craig Button was still with the Stars, so they knew me from the Stars, and yeah, so next departure was to St. John, and that was a great experience too.
Of course, we'll get into that a little bit there later, but with the Flames were there any veteran players that were particularly good to you? I know Jerome McGinley was already on the squad at that time, and I know he's notoriously helpful with young guys. How was the veterans with you?
Oh, he was, and I watched a lot there too. I mean, later on got along really well with Roman Turek.
Of course.
A Czech goalie, really funny guy. He had a really funny story with him when I was called up in my third year. But yeah, it was so amazing how, for example, you mentioned Jerome. Well, he was really a player who you really saw why he was a superstar and the best player, one of the best all time. Because it's just not just a cliche that you have to come into the dressing room basically the first every day and leave the last. Like I built a pretty good relationship at that time with him because he was basically a franchise player there, and he just wanted to get better every day, and that inspired me a lot. So I stayed out with him a lot after practices to work on things and basically help him.
At the same time, right?
That got me a lot better too. But basically, we did things that he wanted to work on. But yeah, all the other veterans too. I mean, it was so amazing because everybody asked a lot of questions from me as a rookie because of my nationality. Because everybody would know something. Okay, how did you end up here? And yeah, it was a good story for for a Canadian maybe too to listen to that. That's why one of the reasons I still keep in touch with my billet families, for example, because we talked a lot and we shared a lot of things. I shared a lot of things from home and from Hungary, from Europe, my background, and yeah, that's a different story and a different path what the Canadian or North American has to become a professional hockey player, and even a lot different than for a Russian or a Czech or a Swede or a Finn, for example. So yeah, but yeah, that yeah, I never forgot where I came from, and and my teammates reminded me a lot through my career too when I misspoke something in the language or yeah, I mean they got it back.
Right, of course. I know talking with other goalie guys and collectors, I still have to correct them how to pronounce your name because, I mean, I know what it's like with my Hungarian last name, Chani, where everyone pronounces it Kasani or Sani, and I mean, even guys still pronounce your name Levente Szuper and Zupper, and it's like, Well,
that stayed over the years because I tried for a long time to correct it, but actually most of my career people pronounce it with a Z actually, and I was fine with that. And sometimes they pronounce my first name with Lavante because they thought it's partly French.
Right.
I don't know, and I was blessed enough to back a moment with the 67s that I got the nickname the Superman with the Z. I mean, get a nickname from fans.
Actually, I'll bring that up. Might as well. I have your card collection here. So actually, they even misspelled your name on your first Ottawa 67s card. They wrote
right.
Laventa.
I have that too. Yeah, I remember that. And it got pronounced for such a long time in an incorrect way. But I said it a few times. I'm like, all right, let's just have it your way.
Just go with it. It's about the hockey. Of course. Okay, so continuing on. So in your first year at the St. John Flames, that was 2000-2001, you won the AHL Calder Cup. Of course, the jersey behind me, that was the one you wore in your first ever season of pro hockey.
And over here is the one we won the Calder Cup with.
Oh, there you go. You win. No, it's amazing pieces of history behind you. I can't wait to get into that a little bit later in the show here. It's like Christmas I'm looking at. So you continue to perform well in the AHL for the next 2 seasons, and then in November 2002, it finally happened. After an injury to Roman Turek, I believe there was a concussion or something he had, you're recalled by the Calgary Flames to back up Jamie McLennan. With that, you officially made sports history by being the first ever Hungarian born and raised player to ever be on an NHL team's active roster, and to date, still the only one. On top of that, you even had several NHL hockey cards made of you, and that's huge as well. How did you find out that you were being recalled to the NHL? What did it mean to you then, as well as now, being more mature, and considering how much Hungarian hockey has grown since you proved that a Hungarian can make it in hockey?
Well, my first call-up was really clouded by the passing of my grandma.
Oh, no.
So I didn't really, cared much at that time, although it was my childhood dream.
Of course.
Yeah, it was just a regular day in St. John, and the phone rang. My dad called and said my grandma passed away, and yeah, it was really devastating. And the club was so nice and so great about it that they helped me fly out of St. John the next day to go home to be with my family. And it was just something, you just can't thank the organization enough for that gesture. And Jim Playfair said to Levente, take your time. whatever you need, just let us know when you're ready to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on the plane. I get home, being with my family, and the next day, the very next day at night, the phone rings. Emesha calls me from St. John, which is my wife.
Right.
Back at the time, we were only boyfriend girlfriend. She called me from St. John that Jimmy called, and what about, the Flames need a goalie because Roman get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy wanted to know, and that's why he called Emesha to find out if it's okay to call me at home and bother, because he knows it means a lot, but also he knows how much family means. And Jimmy called after home in Hungary, and saying that it's my decision, it's my choice, and he talked with Craig in Calgary about it, and but they want to give me that chance, and it's my decision to decide. And we talked with my parents, and my mom kind of came up with saying that my grandma would be the happiest if I go and just take everything in with this experience. So basically, the next day I was on a plane heading to New York City. We were on a long road trip at that time on the East Coast. So basically my first ever NHL game was in the Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. So that's something. It's really special. But back to your question, it didn't mean a lot at that time. You really felt like what is something you lost someone who's close. I was fortunate not to lose a family member before that, but experience that from thousands of miles away. It was not easy. But it was back in business after that, and this passing of my grandma gave me a lot of energy, positive energy too. After that, just to show her that I'm here, and without your help I would not be here. So I won't let you down, and I will try my best along the top players in the world. So that was just. It was for her because, at that time, sounds funny or not, I was part of the 60 best goaltenders in the world.
No, absolutely. That's exactly how it is.
Speaking, but, being in the active NHL roster for that period of time, it was something special. And of course, I thought, no, I didn't. I was sure that it had something to do with with my grandma's passing in some kind of a spiritual way. So
I was actually just going to mention that. I know, like,
those kind of things you can't really describe it, but you just feel.
It feels like someone looking out for you. I get that. Absolutely. Interesting, though. Well, I know definitely in your NHL call up there, I mean, there's 8 games you were on the bench there. And I mean, 3 of the games you played against, or you were part of the team against 3 of the best other goalies in the NHL history. I mean, Marty Brodeur, Patrick Waugh, and Curtis Joseph were 3 of those games. I mean, I couldn't imagine how amazing that would be to be a part of that and actually witness those guys live. Like, that would be craziness.
And it was unbelievable, the gesture that Martin Brodeur did during warm-up. He pat my pad with his stick and saying, "Congratulations, kid." So,
oh, wow.
And it was really special. People in the NHL. I mean, you have to have a lot of things to be in that league, and a lot of things you need to have beside of hockey. And one of the most important things to represent the NHL, the best league in the world, is to have class. And and class also means that you pay attention, you respect your opponents, you respect your teammates, you respect the whole league, the whole organization, you respect the sport. And Marty probably knew this is my first call up, and that was very nice.
Well, it definitely paints a good picture. I mean, I've heard stories of guys being bitter about their NHL experience, but again, the respect among athletes goes a long way.
and I mean, yeah, I experienced it from my teammates too, because very funny story in Detroit.
Okay.
We played Red Wings, and the Red Wings were my favorite team all the time. And actually, one of your questions, who was my favorite player, actually was Steve Yzerman. But
Okay.
unfortunately, he didn't play that game because he was injured. But
Oh.
yeah, we played in the Joe Louis Arena, and we killed a penalty. I'm
Mhm.
sitting on the bench beside the our defenseman, and he just go in to kill a penalty. And and the Russian line was on for the wing. I mean, the five Russians with Fedorov and those guys. And Robin
Lord.
Regier comes out of the bench after his shift and sits down and tells me, "Oh God, that's pretty to watch." I mean, that's it's something. Those little things and pieces you just don't forget. It just shows how much respect you have for one another. It doesn't matter where you play. You just respect the game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Oh, what was your experience like backing up Jamie McLennan?
Jamie was awesome, actually. So I ran into him a few years ago because fortunately enough, here in Budapest, here in Hungary, we broadcast the NHL, and
Nice.
I had a chance to go to Winter Classics two times, and we
Oh, cool.
met one time, and we recognized each other right away, and had a few words. He was working for ESPN, I believe. But yeah, it was unbelievable experience. But yeah, back in the day, like, geez, he was a weird goaltender. Like, I mean, but in a good way. But
Right.
I remember him being ready and fully dressed long time before the games,
Okay.
and just bringing his focus in. And yeah, I watched him a lot too, and learned a lot from him too. How his approach was towards the game, and how focused he was a long time before the game, and in the pregame skate the day before. And yeah, he had maybe the time of his life in that spread, because we, as I said, we had a really tough schedule coming from east. We then went down south to play the Panthers, I believe, and we played in Atlanta, and then we went back to Calgary. We went up north to we went to play Denver. Yeah, so and Jamie was just on fire. Like,
Right.
but unfortunately enough, we lost most of those games. Like a 2-1 or a 1-0 or a 3-2. So
Yeah.
if I would have been the coach back then, there's no chance I would have give myself a chance. Jamie was on the roll, and I really thought, being there, will of course I tried my best and did what I had to do. So I was really sure that I will get my chance again. Unfortunately, I didn't. But it was actually one more story add to this. A year before, because I got called up in my third year in St. John. The year before, in my second year in St.
Okay.
John, I had a real period of time. For a long time, I probably won about 6 or 7 games in a row, and back-to-back shutouts. Kay Whitmore was my partner at that time, and
Right.
and yeah, we heard that Roman got hurt, and we were on the road. We were in Wilkes-Barre playing the Penguins farm team, and we heard it on the news in the hotel that Roman Turek got hurt. So we were roommates and kind of expecting a phone call from Jimmy.
Okay.
The phone call came up, right, but it came from Kay, and it was interesting because Kay answered the phone, and he was surprised too. I saw his reactions, and he hung up the phone, and just he told me that he said, "Sorry, Levente, and yeah, I mean, he's been around. He's been on the show. He knew the situation, and yeah. After that, the day after we played the Penguins, of course, I didn't have the best game of my life. Jimmy talked to me the game before about how the system works and everything. But no, that was the first time actually I wouldn't say lost my faith in the system or in the business, but I was disappointed.
Okay.
I was disappointed because every time I heard and what I learned from day one in Canada, that you do your best, you show you're the best every day, and you work for it, good things will happen.
Right.
And I heard, good things will happen equals getting called up to the NHL.
Naturally, of course.
And if you feel like I wouldn't say the word deserve something because I never use it, but you work for something, and if this is what the business is really about, to get better and develop young players and give them a chance and throw into deep water, but it must have been all reason for it. I will never find out. I forgot it really quick because that was the North American way. Jimmy knew how emotional I can get, and just being a European, being there and just represent even my country or something that it's new. He knew he had to talk to me about it, but I always heard, well, this is part of business, this and that. But yeah, at that time I was really disappointed, but I had to force myself to forget it, to wait for the next chance. Well, the next chance came, but after that, we took a different path.
Unfortunately, I was still young at the time. I know you made it when you were in the NHL roster. I was only 13 years old at the time, so I was a younger person then too. But I was still hoping you would make the NHL and get a chance to play outside of the preseason. But never happened. But it's still equally a big accomplishment. I really can't take that away from you at all, or for Hungary. It's a win for the whole country. That's how I look at it still. On the same line there, bring myself back up here for the question. Very good. Did anything funny or interesting happen to you during your time in the NHL?
Hold on, I have to put the... Yeah, I didn't want the computer to shut down.
Good idea.
Yeah, it was a lot of things, but my call up, as I mentioned, wasn't the funniest time of my life, but certainly one conversation stands out. What I had with Roman Turek, in the Flames dressing room, when you change your street clothes. Every 2 weeks or every end of the month, you have your paycheck in your stall.
Okay.
And you just look around when you're a rookie and it's your first time there, how players acknowledge when they open the envelope and see what's inside, and you do the math, how much your guy's making, because it's in the NHL it's that's the rule and everything, and you just acknowledge how and I mean that was my first time. I got my first paycheck, NHL paycheck, and it was kind of lost track in time and everything, and with just looking in my stall and looking at the envelope and okay, what's inside, and because I was really didn't really care that much about numbers when I was young and everything, but and actually when I was acting very childish probably, because Roman told me after that he watched the whole thing, and he said it looked like I looked like a cartoon character from a cartoon movie, that, just a surprise little dwarf or something. and we we have Lake Balaton here in Hungary, which is our biggest lake. Lots of fun times, and it's really great. And so I do what all the other guys do. Okay, I said that. Okay, I just open the envelope and see and just close it and acknowledge it. And I do that, and Roman comes up, pats me in the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, you can buy Balaton now." So that was so funny coming from a guy who's a legend, and he told me, "Hey, I watched the whole thing, kid, and you looked so funny in there and so surprised and everything." Hey, I'm like, "All right, thanks. Don't tell anyone."
That's awesome. And I know Roman Turek is one of my top 10 favorites as well. I mean, his goalie mask is always one of my favorites with the Iron Maiden Eddie logo on there. So that's cool that he was also a cool dude as well. That's a nice story. I like it. So we're already on the topic now of goaltending partners. Might as well address that then. So looking back on your entire hockey career, so this is not just NHL. This is from youngest days to your very last tournament in 2013 there. Who was your personal all-time favorite goaltending partner and why?
I don't want to choose a favorite.
Okay.
But they all really have a really special place in my career and in my heart too, and in my goaltending. Because as I said, I watched everybody, and you know who I can watch the closest, who I'm playing with every day in a regular basis, in everyday activity. I see how they approach. I watch their movements. I watch how they handle the puck. I watch what kind of a teammate they are, how they can help the team on ice, off ice. And I learned a lot from everybody. Like with the Hungarian national team, probably Christian Budai, who we started to play hockey basically in the same age, and we pushed each other all the way through from youth here in Hungary all the way to the national team. Because you know we were the best two goaltenders for a very long time in Hungary. We were number 1 and 2 for a long time for Hungarian national team play. And and then of course when I went to Ottawa, I spent 2 years with Seamus. Well, that didn't start off really well because we didn't really like each other in the beginning. I don't really know why. But you know, it was just a rivalry in the beginning, which was really good for the team, and sometimes got really funny for the team too, because sometimes we got into a little fight. I mean, not fist fight, but you know, yeah. And my accent, when I got a little mad, my accent got a little funnier probably, and yeah, it was all funny. But yeah, I learned a lot of things from Seamus. He was really controlled, really his ability to move, how stable he was all the time. I learned a lot from him, not being that flappy, that crazy all the time. So I learned a little control from Seamus. In my first pro year, when we won the Calder Cup in the ECHL, Martin Brochu, just a very different style, you know, of being a French Canadian. But God, he was a sweetheart. He helped me through that year a lot emotionally too. That was a really difficult year for me, beside of hockey, in a personal life, and yeah, that's being away, being professional, being on the road all the time. Like never had a 82 game schedule, you know, with a team that has a terrible road trip. So you're on the bus, on the plane, or in the hotel or in the rink all the time. So it was hard to adjust. But yeah, Martin made it a lot easier because we were rooming together all the time in road trips. So we got to know each other really well. I got to know his family. He got to know mine, of course. And that helped me a lot emotionally. And yeah, Kay Whitmore the next year, just just an old school goalie who I really loved playing when I was a kid. And I couldn't believe he was my teammate. So yeah, it was a really funny, really team guy. And Danny Sabrin the next year, who thank God made it to the NHL,
He did, yes.
and became an unbelievable goalie. Because we were in the same age, so our relationship was different, and we helped each other a lot. And yeah, all the goalies. I was the one probably who tried to build a really good relationship with them to make sure that the team benefits from it. And if it didn't work out for a short period of time, actually I have to say after a few months, and especially in my second year in Ottawa, we became really good friends with Seamus, and we still are, and we still keep in touch. And a few years ago, he was scouting for the Sabres, and he came over to Bratislava to watch the Calder Cup scouting, and he drove over to Budapest just to meet me, and we hung out for a couple of days, and it was just unbelievable. So we became really good friends in my second year. So I didn't finish playing in Ottawa with being a little not very good friends with Seamus, but yeah, I watched really closely what the other goalies do, because I that's how I could measure myself. Like I saw a lot of things that it was interesting to me. For example, goalies playing in the NHL, I thought should not playing, and goalies never made it even to the American Hockey League. But I thought they unbelievable. So yeah, different judgments, different opinions. But yeah, I try to use my colleagues and my opponents as little helping tools and something to watch and learn from.
Okay. Of course, you mentioned a lot that you bring myself back up here. Boom. You mentioned a lot that you observe your teammates and other goalies a lot. So goalies are notorious for having interesting pre-game rituals before the game. Some not so exciting, others extremely bizarre. I mean, just an example, Artur's Urbe, always before the drop of a puck, he'd pretty much drop into the splits between periods. He'd always leave his mask and glove blocker on the bench there. So having been around so many players during your career, what was the weirdest pre-game ritual or game ritual you've ever seen from a teammate? Don't have to name names at all. I'm just curious what you've seen as something that makes you wonder what's going on.
Oh, ever seen from a teammate?
Yes.
Well, that's not hard. I would have to say Jamie McLennan. Like, he was in his year way before the game. Like, it was just unbelievable. He was in his skates and his pads. I don't know how many minutes before, but guys were still going out for dryland warm up, and yeah. So basically you can't really top that.
Fair enough. I remember I've read Jamie McLennan's book, and he does a lot of funny stuff. I remember one of the things he wrote in there was time he was dressed as a backup, he like slipped money to like a fan next to him, and then like got a hot dog in his glove, and then anytime the coach would look over, he just closed the glove. Coach looks away, takes a bite. So it's funny to hear.
It was just such a funny and happy guy. I mean, the only time he didn't have a smile on his face was probably when he was in the net.
Right. All right. So, so after you spent that month with the Calgary Flames that were spread out over, I think you had a couple of recalls with them because Turek got better and then he was out again after. You were sent back to the minors, and then that was the last season you had at the Flames organization. So in 03-04, St. Louis Blues ended up signing you. Did you feel any type of regret or anger at the time? And what was the reason that the Flames gave you for why they no longer wanted to have you on their team?
Well, basically, we get back again on the business side of hockey.
Right.
The Flames went through a whole management change at the time. So including head coach, including GM. So Craig was no longer the general manager. and yeah, new staff took over, and yeah, they have their own ideas, which is normal, and yeah, that was it for me. But it was something that was really fortunate that time that I had a chance to come home and play the World Championships, for example, which turned out really well, and we almost got promoted. So yeah, you get something back from life. If you look at it, a door closes and some others might get open. So no, I wasn't feeling anything. I just what really got me into my thought process throughout my career after that. Okay, let's try to experience more and we see what's more out there. I spent 3 years with the Flames. Let's experience something else. And yeah, and in that case, the Blues were really a really good experience, positive and negative experience too, because that was the first time in my professional career when I get sent 2 leagues below the NHL.
Right. Yeah.
I was in the East Coast Hockey League in Peoria, and that time in the beginning, I was mad. But only for a short period of time, and I don't know why. Oh, yeah, of course I know why, because I got a step further from the show. But yeah, my first 2 games in Peoria, I remember I got pulled in both of them, and so that didn't turn out well. And coach called me in, and being supportive and everything, but basically told me at 23 years old, you don't mess up your career. You're too young for that. And yeah, and after that, things got really good. I got comfortable in the right way in Peoria. So I one time I even told, not told, but asked the Blues if it's a call up and if they need me for only for backing up, why does not the organization just leave me in Peoria? Because I play most of the games. That franchise was really strong, a lot of fan base support and everything. It was really important for the Blues organization too,
of course,
because the club was really deep with good players at the time, including Worcester and the Rivermen. So yeah, we agreed on it. So I stayed the whole year in Peoria. Had a really good year, and but that time after that, I said, yeah, for now I might be done for a little bit with North America. Let's try to experience something else.
Interesting. So it actually feeds perfectly into the next question. So the 04-05 season was the lockout year for the NHL there. So there was really not much opportunity because a lot of the NHL guys dropped down to AHL or went to Europe there. So you ended up going back to Hungary, I believe it was in 2004, 2005. Was it hard to say goodbye to North American hockey, knowing that there was a chance that opportunity might not come again? And did you have a chance to talk with any of your former teammates or coaches who maybe gave you some advice or something helpful that pushed you on once North American hockey was sort of in the background at that point?
Well, I wanted to get back to North America one day, but I felt like I have to be a little closer to home. I just wanted to get out of the North American system for a little bit.
Okay.
Because I just needed something new, something that maybe a little more human, if you know what I mean. I can't really describe it much more than that.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to, in the lockout year, I had a chance to go to Berlin and to play for the Ice Baron. I had a tryout contract for a month. One of the top teams in the DEL in the German league.
Okay.
I had a chance to be there, and how funny is that my last day of my tryout contract, expired, and the next day we would have went to Switzerland to play a tournament, and I would have signed my contract after that tournament in Switzerland. Everything was prepared, everything was ready to sign, and I got hurt in my last practice.
Oh no!
I had a partial tear in my groin, so I was out for 3 months after that. And yeah, the GM calls me in the office in Berlin and just says, I cannot sign an injured goaltender who'll be out for 3 months, because we already did the exams and everything. And those are the things you just can't get mad. You may be sad for a little bit, but try to think that everything happens for a reason. That was the first time I spent months with my family. The first time for a long time I spent Christmas here at that year, and I ended up in Dunajváros, which was really, really key part of my career. That basically put me back in the ground for saying that in a positive manner, to explore the journey of climbing the ladder again.
Right.
That was so great, and that was so awesome because I had a chance to play with some of the best Hungarian players ever. In heroes of the national team, my old-time friends, and and hockey at that time of my career became a national proud again. To try to be the Hungarian champion again.
Absolutely.
And prove it to myself. Okay, well, I've been there. I've done that. I won this. I won that. I was in the garden playing for the Flames or sitting on the bench. Yeah, but this is now, and I'm still the same guy, the same person. So yeah, it was so good. Try to approach the game the same way, not to be upset or just be somebody else. And my teammates, my old-time friends, helped me a lot with that. We got along really well. We ended up with an unbelievable season, winning the Hungarian championships in the seventh game against Alba Volán. A lot of good friends playing in that team too. So it was a fun year, and it was really joyful. We had a good World Championship after that year. And okay, let's start again. What's next? What the future holds next? And yeah, that's when my European career started.
Oh yeah, all right. That's part of the fun of the European hockey leagues as well too. Is so many ex-NHL guys also feed into it every year. So I'm sure during your time there, you also ran into several teammates from your past that you got to play with. Though I've got to ask, because you've played in so many different countries. I mean, you played in Italy, Sweden, Germany, obviously Hungary a lot. You had the year in Kazakhstan there. Was there any location you enjoyed playing at the most? And was there a team maybe you didn't quite fit in with as well?
Well, when I started this journey, my goal was to experience everything I can and have a chance to travel as much as I can. And, using my hockey ability and the privilege to be an import player, because when you're an import player, you have to produce.
Okay.
That's no question. And to face that challenge as a Hungarian, to go to different countries and top leagues and top teams, to be the number one guy as a Hungarian import, that was a great challenge. That was something I was feeding off. And in the other half, I never stopped looking for a bigger challenge. So that's why I switched. That was one of the reasons I switched a lot of teams over the years, because why not? If you have a chance, and if there's a team who wants you, and a different environment, a different team, a different league, a different style, different people, different lifestyle, it's a win-win-win-win-win situation for everybody. And with MSHA, to have we've been blessed to have an opportunity to travel together most of the time, and experience a lot of things. I mean, you learn languages, you experience new lifestyles, and you have to perform everywhere. Right. And I've been blessed that throughout my career, there was always a good opportunity to go to beautiful places, to be with beautiful people. I mean, yeah, when the advertising for the show came out, I received messages from 6-7 different countries that I played, and well, from friends, and that's amazing. You can talk to them in a few different kind of languages, depending on who's writing from where. Yeah, and use it as an experience and as an opportunity to get better as a goalie and as a person too. And might as well you have a chance to travel while you play and go to great places. I mean, from the top of the mountains in Italy to Kazakhstan or to Malmö or in Milano or Hanover.
Wow.
Places you don't forget.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's making the most of something you play. You're doing something. You're playing a game you love, but you get to experience the world and all of its cultures at the same time. You're not kind of stuck in one place. I like that. It's quite nice.
Yeah, of course. And at the end of it, going back to North America, that was part of it too. An opportunity came up to go to North America again, especially to Arizona, for example. I mean, I've never been, but you hear a lot of good things. You have a good friend, Chris Bartoloni, who's assistant coach there. And you have Marco Pietronero as a head coach, who's partly Italian, so I knew him a little bit. So that was great. That was a great year and a half, and also the hockey wise, and also the traveling. I mean, the Grand Canyon was a few hours away, and I have family in Los Angeles. I got to see them a little more. Then, of course, you travel to Vegas, and it's part of your career. While you're there, you experience things, and I made the most of it. Any days off, you just go and just get to know the people, the environment. So how can you help their team? What's important for the community? So that was a great experience.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So, 2009, you helped lead Hungary into the championship division of the IIHF Worlds. It's the first time, I believe, since like 1937 that happened, where Hungary got promoted to the competing division against the big boys. Unfortunately, around that time, longtime Hungarian center Gábor Ocskai passed away right before the tournament began due to a heart attack at the age of only 33. How much did that mean to you and your teammates? First of all, that Hungary had made it to play among the world's best hockey nations for the first time since, it was 1939. That was my bad. And did you feel that that your teammates' untimely passing actually helped bring your whole team closer together and to compete even harder?
Well, we didn't need anything like that to bring us closer together because we were a really tight group. But we were very tight, and Gábor was one of the main screws in that machine, and one of the main person, and one of our oldest brothers, because we called ourselves the Kis Család, the small family. Our national team, Pat Cortina, the national team coach, gave us that name, and we really felt like we lost a brother, and. But yeah, it was an honor for him. So it gave us a little extra boost, a thing, because winning in Sapporo bring us something else from every player. What it bring out from me from the first time, basically in my life, that I really enjoyed watching when we won, actually, and sticks and everything started to fly in the air. I was just felt like I'm in the movie and watching all my friends and brothers celebrate. And I was just watching everybody, as I did my whole career, how happy they are, and I was actually feeling more happy watching them than I felt inside me how happy I was. I don't know, a little confused or complicated what I said, but yeah, if you feel, I wish a lot of people can experience that feeling, because it's something special. It's kind of a feeling when you have a kid. You're more happy watching him than you feel inside you. Yeah, it was an emotional final in Sapporo, of course, and after that we heard a lot of stories about friends, family, and fans watching the game. Everybody has a story because there's such a big time difference between Japan and Hungary, but everybody was somewhere watching the game. I mean, my friends always, okay, I was here, I was in that bar. It was 10 or 11 in the morning, but bars and pubs opened because of that game, because people wanted to get together and watch it. So it was something that this country never experienced before in terms of hockey.
Absolutely.
You experience something that big when something big happens in soccer here, for example.
Right.
The biggest thing. But yeah, we were the heroes. We were the Musketeers for a very long time from that time on. And yeah, losing Gabor, it just wasn't the same.
Right.
It just wasn't the same without him. Yeah, but we still had to go and feel the atmosphere and feel everything. Because yeah, I mean that was something else, playing again against the best players in the world in your national team jersey.
Right.
I mean, if someone would have asked me early in my career, okay, Levente, will you be an NHL goalie or will you be an A-pool national team hockey player? I would have said the first one, because I thought I had more chance to be an NHL goalie than an A-pool hockey player with Team Hungary. We got promoted to the A-pool in 2008. 10 years earlier, in 98, we got promoted from the C pool to the B. So in 10 years, we jumped 2 pools to be with the big boys. And it was amazing how many fans were there with us. I mean, 3,000 fans from Hungary traveled all the way from Budapest to Zurich. To see what's happening. We skated out for the first game against Slovakia, which is
I remember that game. Yeah.
Anyways, and the fans before and after the game were partying and celebrating together, which was a really big thing for both of our countries. And on the ice, oh geez, that 13 seconds in the end. Yeah, I will never forget that. We had the game tied in 3-3, which was a really big thing. And Slovakia has all the NHL superstars, and 13 seconds before they scored, Lubos Bartechko, game winner. But yeah, our fans were amazing when we came out from the corridor to warm-ups. That just the whole arena exploded and was just felt like we're in the Stanley Cup Finals, or we just won something.
Yeah, that's definitely something to notice, just how much the fandom and how much hockey has grown in terms of popularity in Hungary. And I've told it to you earlier, like, it's no small part due to you. I mean, you showed that you can make it from Hungary into the NHL. So, I mean, you've been through it from your earliest days to now. You're still actively involved in it. So I got to ask, in your eyes, how has hockey changed in Hungary from when you were just starting to play versus today? And are you confident that a Hungarian player will finally make the NHL soon? Because I know the most recent one that was very close was Voyage Adam. He got onto the Minnesota Wild, played preseason with them, and then he was in their Iowa system and Quad City, and then he's playing, I think, in Slovakia or something now.
Which is still a very good league, and it's still one. Yeah, but how hockey changed? Well, we have a lot more indoor rinks, thank God. A lot of kids involved, but actually the biggest change of Hungarian hockey came us as a team winning in 2008.
Okay.
We got promoted to the A pool. I mean, yeah, it was just when the kids are really started to play, and there was just a big national boom. Yeah, but through that time, since I got to North America, yeah, it was always something special when we, I was fortunate enough that most of the time when I get home to the national team, the lineup started with my name, which is a great honor, and yeah, throughout the years, for example, my last World Championships when I played my last year actually in half the year in Kazakhstan, and we beat the Kazakhs after in the World
Nice.
Championship. So yeah, I had some good friends, some good players in the opposition side all the time, and it was special for my Hungarian teammates that I know most of the people from every team, and
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and I shared all that knowledge and experience when I was still active and started my own goalie school here in Budapest.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have time right now to keep doing that, but yeah, with a lot of young goalies, young kids coming to the program, and I was trying to give them a lot more and concentrating more on maybe uh, the psychical side of the game, not the most important, not on the ice. It's something else. You have to have idols. You have to have a goal. You have to have a mindset, and everything else on the ice comes after that. If your mindset is right, then you can go on the ice.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that too. Yeah, that of course. Yeah, the stuff you were talking about there about experiencing everything, and that's a huge part of it, is how you've experienced the world and all the cultures and seen everything and all the things you've learned everywhere you've been. That comes through in what you bring to the table. So that's very, very, again, interesting to hear that side of the game there. And again, bring myself back up here. Good. Again, you were talking about that little goalie camp that you used to run. I remember seeing lots of videos and photos of that, and it's pretty awesome. All the people who were taking part got to have the jerseys with your Super logo, which is the Superman logo, but the S Betu from Hungarian there. It's awesome. It's so cool to see. Yeah, but yeah, there hasn't really been a Hungarian drafted into the NHL in 18 years now. But I mean, as it's growing, as it's more mainstream, as you said, there's more indoor rinks now. It means the hockey season isn't just 4 months now; it can be 12 months a year. So chances will go up. I mean, Slovenia has one player that made it. I believe a second is on the run as well, like Andrzej Kopitar there. Japan had Yutaka Fukufuji that made it. So the countries that are less hockey known are getting to the point now where they can be contenders in hockey now, and I love to see that, and especially I'm as a Hungarian person myself as well. I cannot wait till the day when the next Levente Szuper comes to the NHL, because I'm still proud of that. And again, you've done something huge for the game. We had that discussion yesterday there that you made such an impact on the game of hockey in Hungary, and you are a huge part of that. But we still got some stuff to talk about. So, you mentioned obviously in 2010-11 season you joined the CHL's Arizona Sun Dogs, I believe is the name of the squad there, and then you had a great first season with them there. The next season, after you played 15 games with Arizona, you got traded to the Missouri Mavericks.
Right.
You played a game with them before heading to Kazakhstan. And I know a lot of people asked this question to me there, that they saw it in the stats and they looked up the stuff on Wikipedia. What exactly led to going from Arizona to Missouri, and then after the game with Missouri, going to Kazakhstan there?
Actually, at that time, my life started to be more and more about family and being a husband and a father.
Right.
Yeah, that was the year before I got married in 2011,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, 2012 came my firstborn child, Alice, and yeah, I at that time the main goal was to get back in time for the birth.
Okay.
And yeah, it was of course Kazakhstan is not too close, but of course the season was shorter, and at least it was not across the ocean.
Right.
But very unfortunately, I still couldn't make it in time for my firstborn. I only got to see her the first time when she was 10 days old.
Oh.
Because I had to stay. I couldn't get home from Kazakhstan in time. But yeah, it was special. But in that time, well, of course, MSN knew what kind of a business I'm in for a long time. What does it take to be a professional, and wasn't any problems with that. But and on top of that, there was a little minor complication at birth, and so things didn't go as smooth as usual. So that put a little more toppings on it.
Right.
But yeah, we fought that through, and I came home, and just a very happy dad ever since.
Very nice, yeah. I mean, definitely remember reading it in your book, and I mean, you're mentioning your wife, Emesha, there was with you pretty much your entire career there, like from the Calgary time as when she was just your girlfriend and all the way then. I mean, that's especially as a wife related to someone, must be tough to just be relocated and move to be around the family. I couldn't imagine it. I've never been through that.
Well, I can't imagine also what could have go through her mind too, because especially when you grow up, and especially when you stop playing, and you have your reasons, of course, why you stop playing hockey, that you just realize afterwards, okay, what is it be like, or you have some ideas how could it be to being a professional athlete's wife or girlfriend. I mean that's not easy. Right?
Right.
Yeah, and I can't thank her enough every day. Of course, we had to get better every day, as my thought process on the ice too. If you're in a relationship with someone you love, you have to work on that too every day, and we learned it over 21 years. But we were the best teachers of one another.
Right.
And that's the easiest way I can put the meaning of this relationship. And yeah, because we fought through anything, and here we are with two beautiful kids, and fortunate enough, somehow my older one still saw me play, because at that time when she came, I don't say I lost motivation in hockey and keep playing, although I was still 32 years old, so probably in top of my game. I felt really good. I had several offers that summer too.
Oh, okay.
But I just felt like it's time. I became a professional in a very early age in Budapest, with Ferencváros.
Right.
After that, of course, I had a few junior years, but it still felt like professional to me. So I started with the big boys when I was 17. I was still in with for 15 years, and I just didn't want our family life to be about Levente.
Right.
Because for the last 15 years, it was all about me. What's important for me and my career, where I want to go, where I want to play, and do this and that. But when you become a husband, and especially a father after that, your life is not about that. I mean, your life is about family. That's what I felt like, and I saw, that's why, because I talked with my teammates a lot, and I saw a lot of stories. For example, I didn't want to miss. I already lost a birth of my daughter. I didn't want to miss the first word, or not to talk them in at night because I'm on the road. Don't talk to me because I had a bad game, and just shush. I didn't want that. And after that, talking with MSH and got a few offers, that I said, from great places in Europe, and I just said, okay, I've been there, I've done that. Do I really need this anymore? And yeah, even my dad, was really supportive, and my mom and the whole family was really shocked. And I just told them, hey, I mean, trust me. I mean, mostly in my time, I feel like I made the right decisions, because life turned out really well.
Of course.
And I have just different goals now. My parents didn't really believe. They said, "Okay, you're gonna miss the game." Of course, I'm gonna miss the game. I mean, yeah, but I want to be involved with the game, but in a different type. I want to learn. I want to still be young when I learn. I want to,
Right.
just different goals. But first of all, family time. It's the super family is not about Levente. The super family is about the supers, and that was my most important motivator.
I like that. Again, very insightful. And I mean, I know speaking of my own family, very much the same thing. Families are those ties that bind, and those are more important than anything at the end of the day. So I really like that. We are coming up almost to the 2-hour mark here. So just to have a few more questions to go over here, and then we'll have to wrap up the show here pretty soon. So you had a long hockey career that spanned the globe. No doubt you had many amazing hockey stories and memories that many of which we've already heard here today. But if you were to pick one, what would be your most cherished memory, the moment that you would say was the highlight of your career, and why?
Well, among a lot of things, I'm really fortunate enough to say that how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Really, because that was probably the craziest things I ever done in my career. I mean, I've done a lot of crazy things and a lot of really brave things when going overseas when I didn't know what's going on there, and through this last World Championships of mine, and that really put everything into a little jewelry box, because it was something that was really me. That was really the mad Hungarian, what Brian Kilrea talked about when I was 18. That a guy who didn't play a year going back for the World Championships and play. Now that's not smart.
Right. How did they manage to convince you to come out of retirement to play for that in that 2013 Worlds?
Well, I was a very happy husband and a dad, and someone who attended university as a sophomore. I mean, as a freshman, and first year as a 32-year-old to learn sports management in university in Budapest for 3 years. And yeah, I just started that, and at the same time, I came home from Kazakhstan, and that summer I started to manage a youth program in Vasas Hockey Club with a lot of youth kids, and just my dream, my goals, because I set up a dream basically every time before I start something. That, okay, from those boys, using my knowledge, my experience, my connections, my stories. Just build a professional team here in Budapest, and show that you can really build up and follow a career, and you really can push and help young guys to fulfill their dreams. And I was fortunate enough to work with people I really enjoy working with. The old time national team teammates. So I know them since I was a little kid. I still work with those guys. Balázs Ladányi, András Horváth, for example. Balázs holds the all-time point list for Hungarian national team players. Or just work with those guys on a regular basis. It's something you're really happy about in life, because you still do what you love. So I started to manage a youth team, and my first year, going to school and manage the program, Rich Chernomas comes up to me in October when the national team got together first time to prepare the World Championships. Actually, it was in April, but the first gathering for national team in October.
Okay.
And asked me if I wanted to come out of retirement. He can help me get a few teams, because he's not feeling very confident about goaltending, and with my experience, and he doesn't care if I didn't play. He just want my presence. He thinks it might help the team and everything. And I'm like, what? No way. And the World Championship was in the biggest arena in Budapest, with holds 9,000 people. And I mean, I didn't play. I didn't want it to play. I didn't practice. I didn't want it to practice. I didn't have the energy, the time, the mood, or anything.
Right.
So I said no thanks, and it kept coming, and then put the bug into my mind that always the what if, and okay, I'm not a quitter if I can do anything to help, and if people ask me to help for help, especially Hungarian hockey, okay, it's not my decision. The head coach of the national team asked me for something. So this went on for a little bit, and the last training camp before the Worlds, Rich made his final approach towards me, and then the team already getting together for a few weeks training camp. In the same rink when I was managing the youth program. So all my teammates came and then just give me a little tap and give me a little blink with the eye, and then
it's awesome.
Okay, see you on the ice and stuff like that. And I just couldn't really run away from this, because I felt I probably will regret it for the rest of my life. And this could be a great thing to wrap up my career on home ice with the national team jersey on. So that's
where it started. It ends where it started. The circle is complete. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something. But also on the other hand, okay, I didn't play. I will. It's not fair. It's not fair that I'm taking somebody's spot who worked for it and was there the whole year, practiced, played games for a guy who has a big name to take over. But Rich and the teammates came. Okay, he said, okay, just come out for one practice, see how you feel, and this and that. So I wrapped up my equipment. I got out. I felt actually pretty good for some reason. Maybe I was hungry for the puck.
Right.
But that lasted for that month, basically. So I found something that I never experienced before. I put all my, I wouldn't say superstitious things, but all my routines that I made every time over the years, those didn't exist anymore. Those things didn't come out. Although I was thinking about it, I said, this is not the same thing. This is not the same thing. I had to basically create a new style for myself of playing, because it was a 3-week long training camp and then the World Championships, and they had
not much time. Yeah.
Expected me to play 3 games against the best teams, and yeah, that's how it ended. I mean, on days off, I had a chance to come home for my daughter's birthday, for example.
That's nice.
And yeah, Rich let me do that. But yeah, it was unbelievable experience that, and to be able to play well and make history again. We beat Kazakhstan that championship the first time in Hungarian hockey history, which was a huge win in front of 9,000 people. I don't know. I stopped over 40 shots probably. We won the game 2-1, and yeah, it was just amazing. And unfortunately, we didn't win the last game. We lost 2-1 against Italy, which was a really close game. But yeah, that was something I will be always happy about, and thank God, my family, my parents, my wife, for the support, because we had a lot of talk about this, but I just didn't feel like running away. I say, okay, no, because I'm afraid I might fail. I'm like, I'm not like that. If I fail, I go out in style, and
there we go. I like that.
do it as a big failure or whatever, just something for the headlines. But let's try to make the best of it. But if it turns out to be a good story, and that's, if you ask, that's the highlight of it, because that's the most recent hockey memory. My last game with national team, but that wraps up everything. That represents probably the best. My last World Championship, that represents my career and my approach to the game. That with those circumstances, I had a hell of a time, and I enjoyed it again as a kid. But what came after that, I don't want to experience again. As soon as the championship was over, I was in massive pain for a few days. I don't know where that was before for some biologic reasons. I don't know. For 3 weeks of training camp and the week of the World Championship, I didn't feel any soreness or any tiredness or whatever. But literally after that, I was in bed for 3 days, and I'm not saying screaming, but I was in a lot of pain, and that was not funny, and that was something I don't suggest to young people to do, because that it really felt like it was not healthy for my body and for everything. So, but it was worth it. It was every second of it.
Oh, I believe it. Very nice. All right. So we're coming down to the last couple of questions here. So see a lot of cool stuff behind you in the background there. So I'm going to ask you, answer's obvious now for some of it, but did you ever keep anything from your playing days in your own collection? Can see a lot of cool stuff there. If so, what is the most prized pieces in your own collection? And also, do you have any of your own hockey cards in your collection?
Well, yeah, I do. Actually, the 2 championship rings are not here because they're in safe.
Oh, of course.
But this is the gold medal of the 2008 World Championships.
Wow.
The one we went up to the A pool, and I kept the game puck also for that game, and the piece of the netting which I cut with a few teammates of mine, and the staff of the hockey rink was not really happy about it, but we did it. But yeah, I have a big collection here.
Wow.
With all the trophies actually, and I
the Hannover Scorpions jersey I see, yeah.
Yeah, and I keep all my masks and a jersey from every team, the most important ones. And there is a memory of Gabor Ochkai. We wore this jersey when he passed away. The next exhibition game we played against Finland, we wore this jersey for warm-ups.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, this is very important for me. Yeah, so basically this room was open, and I had a lot of cool stuff with jerseys and masks and everything. I just didn't want to put them all in the bags, and yeah, it became this. I dreamt about it. Yeah, basically designed the whole room, and yeah, me and my dad were working here a lot with hammers and nails and screws and everything. But yeah, it turned out pretty well.
It's amazing. Definitely, with me being the goalie museum there, I'd be excited to see that in person for sure. That would be like heaven.
And this is the entrance of the this is the door you come in, and this is the first jersey with a special lighting on top. So yeah, that's something special. You know, that's my draft jersey.
Wow. So of your masks, which one is your favorite one? Which design is your favorite?
Well, there's a lot, and every mask has a has an own story.
Of course.
But this is the most admired one. This is my first World Championships in '98, when I was 17 years old, almost 18. I came up with the idea for the World Championships here in Budapest, to have all the icons and the Hungarian crown and yeah, and all the first king's jewelries and everything that represents the country, and of course the flag and everything. So yeah, that's
wow.
Probably the most admired one, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on with devils on it and snakes, the Plano Vipers and the Scorpion, and the devil with Székesfehérvár, and the ice cat and the eagle with Ferencváros, and with the St. John Flames, the dragons on it. And after my first year in Ottawa, that was my first time I put the Superman logo on it.
Oh yeah.
and and since my first year in Ottawa, that stayed all the way through. This is my mask from Arizona,
Mhm.
and I tribe chief on it, and there's a logo, of course,
Mhm.
and it's a lot. This mask looks like Arizona, isn't it?
Feels like it, yeah.
Well, it
Who?
was two or three main things on the mask. Of course, the logo, the Superman logo, and of course, things that represents the club,
Mhm.
and cool things, and the two flags. I mean, the Hungarian flag on my left side, and the country I played for, and I played in on the other side. I mean, those were important.
Did you always use the same mask painter for your career, or was it different mask painters for different masks?
Well, most of the time, yes. When I had a chance to design and do it before the season in Hungary, yeah, I always had Tamás Mike
Okay.
To paint my mask, and then he made an unbelievable super job, and he took the time because after a couple of years he realized how screwed up we goaltenders are and how much we want everything in order and everything in place. So yeah, he made a lot of sketches on it, and and after a few phone calls and a few changes here and there, he always came up with the best things. What was in my mind.
Very cool. That's nice. Well, some of those artworks he should get more publicity and then do some stuff for NHL guys as well, because yeah, some of that artwork is right up there with like Dave Art and then the old Kipra masks and stuff. So definitely very nice. All right, so that was a feast for the senses. Just seeing all of that, that's amazing. So we'll leave it off with one final question. I'll first throw it up. I'll bring myself back on the screen here. Perfect. So I'll throw it out to the viewing audience first. If you have any final comments or questions for Mr. Szuper, don't hesitate to write those into the comment line. We have one question left for him at this time. And then we'll turn it over to the audience. If there's nothing there, then we'll do our final wrap up. And so far, this has been an excellent episode. What can I say? So a final question is one I leave with every single goalie that I bring on to the show, because this is an important one, especially for parents and for kids who are maybe wanting to make it in hockey. And it doesn't matter if it's North America or Europe or Asia. Hockey is inclusive to everywhere nowadays. As someone who lived a dream that every young athlete aspires to, do you have any advice for kids or the parents of a kid who want to be pro hockey players one day?
First of all, as a parent right now, because experiencing the same thing every day, and what I experienced, because I had the chance to work with the youth program for 8.5 years, and I see a lot of kids go through the system, and a lot of parents also, and I found with a lot of parents, the hardest thing to do is to let your kid to be as he wants to be. I mean, to let him be, him be what he wants to be, what he wants to achieve, and support your kid, and push him towards something. The line is really thin between those things, and the best advice is to try to be in balance. Do not hesitate or do not feel bad to speak out your dreams loudly, even if they sound a little crazy and a little foolish. Like I said, the best story. My dad remembers me telling him that one day I want to play in North America. Why? Because that's where hockey from, and I want to be a hockey player. And I can only see myself playing the best place because I want to be the best. And I said it loudly. I mean, do not hold anything in. Just be yourself. Of course, nowadays goaltending changed a lot, so we have a lot of textbook goaltenders, and which are still amazing to watch. How much can you learn? How effective goalie coaches are these days. But my advice, my approach to this whole thing to try to create everybody's own style, which was so much fun back in the day when you watched the NHL. I mean, one day I was trying to be like Curtis Joseph, who has his stance, his low, he lets his glove low, and you have Billy Spotman, who had his trapper inside out. I mean, his trapper faced inside. That was his stance, and just create your own, and yeah, just be brave, and be grateful, be kind. For the people who wants to help your career. I mean, that's including parents, teammates, opponents, coaches. That was the biggest thing I learned in my first training camp in North America. Be kind. Everybody was so kind and helpful, and that's a good teaching for life. And if you want to get involved in something afterwards, you keep those bits and pieces. And you'll be ready for anything.
Very nice, good advice, and I like it. It's consistent. The previous 2 episodes, if you haven't watched those yet, Brent Cron, Mike Morrison were our previous 2 episodes. Very similar types of advice, which is nice. Where it's exactly giving the kid that chance to kind of make their own path, but still lightly kind of. Giving them that support at the same time, not forcing them to do something they don't want to, and then of course being a good person at the end. Exactly. All right, so don't have any other comments that came up in the back here. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Levente Szuper does actually have a biography book that came out a few years back. You can order it various Hungarian online retailers. It is in Hungarian only at this time. If you don't speak Hungarian, there's pictures in it too. It's pretty cool. I'm hoping for an English translation of it too one day. I know I've read it in Hungarian, but as my second language, it caught me up a few times. But it's very interesting story nonetheless, and especially even the pictures in it are a great archive of Mr. Szuper's career from the start to right to the very end there to present, essentially when the book came out. So highly recommend you pick it up and hope for an English version.
You're not the first person who asked me that, but yeah, if maybe if the attention will be that big, maybe something good will happen.
Hopefully, I'll be the first one monitoring that. So, on that note, I want to thank all of you viewers who came by for the show, and I want to especially thank Mr. Szuper for joining us for our 3rd episode of Interview with an NHL Hero. Very, very insightful, very, very interesting stories that we heard here today. I'm very, very glad that you came on to the show.
Thank you very much. Very great time. I had a great time.
So did I. And for all of you viewers out there, have yourselves an excellent day. Bye-bye.